Welcome everyone to the last session of day one for the Society Conference. In these 60 minutes, we will focus on the localization of the digital agenda in the Western Balkans. And as some of you may already know, the digital agenda is an initiative of the European Union, which was also extended and adopted by the Western Balkan countries. With the sole implementation of the digital agenda, citizens will be developing their skills to use more e-services without the need to be very much concerned about their privacy. Also, by digitizing the services, the citizens will be able to connect more and improve the climate for the businesses that are currently occurring under certain bureaucratic procedures in all of our countries. Today with us, we have speakers from several Western Balkan countries, namely Kosovo, Serbia, Montenegro, and North Macedonia. And we will try to provide a multi-stakeholder perspective about the pace of implementation of the digital agenda in the region, as well as to hear a little bit about the challenges that they face on the way. We're also going to focus on discussing the measures that were taken to ensure sustainability, meaning usability and applicability of certain introduced tools, but also policies towards the implementation of the digital agenda. Today with us, we have 5 speakers, namely Mr. MUHEDIN NUSHI, the Deputy Mayor of Prishtina Municipality from Kosovo, and Ms. GRESA DEDA, a Senior IT Officer at Prishtina Municipality as well, who are going to talk about the personal documentation service, E-Kiosk, followed by Mr. BORIS RADOVIĆ from Montenegro, a Chief Technical Officer at Business Integration and Business Intelligence, who's going to tell us more about a digital assistant for paying for services, namely the digital kiosk. Following their presentation, we're going to hear Mr. SLOBODAN MARKOVIĆ, a digital advisor at the United Nations Development Program, UNDP in Serbia, with whom we're going to discuss the digital governance in Serbia and some major trends and gaps in regional cooperation. And finally, we have Mr. Igor KUZEVSKI, the Deputy Director of the Personal Data Protection Agency of the Republic of North Macedonia, who is going to tell us more about the minimal standards for protecting the right to privacy in e-services and service applications. After the presentations of the speakers, we're going to open the floor for discussion in which you may participate by sharing your questions in the chat section or using the raise a hand button. As witnesses of the global pandemic, one cannot but notice that reaching towards digital transformation is more than a needed step towards a better functioning of society. And we can see how governments around the world and in our region specifically pressed by the current conditions have started creating new or improving the existent e-services or digital tools. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. MUHEDIN NUSHI and Ms. GRESA DEDA from Prishtina Municipality to talk about one very successful practice when it comes to e-services, an award-winning practice as well, the E-Kiosk, which is a service that provides easy but also fast access to personal documentation to the citizens of Prishtina.
Greetings to all participants of this 16th International E-Society Conference from Prishtina. Municipality of Prishtina is honored to be part of this important conference, and we express our gratitude for the invitation sent to us, hoping to share a part of our experience with you. Before we start, I would like to present the most important part of our team, which has been involved from the beginning in the project, to which we will refer in next 7 or 8 minutes. It's Ms. GRESA DEDA. She's with us today. And we will try to explain our experience in the field of digitalization in this 8 minutes through the E-Kiosk project. In the next 40 seconds, please pay attention to the video that will be shown now and which was prepared in 2015 regarding this innovation. Mila, please, if you can put the video.
Certainly. I'm not sure, can you see the video?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, we can.
Rreth 200 njerëz jetojnë në Prishtinë dhe po aq të tjerë hyjnë dhe dalin brenda ditës. Ata punojnë për të ardhmen e tyre dhe shtrojnë rrugët ngadalë për gjeneratat e reja. Për secilin prej tyre, koha është e çmuar. Koha e tyre është e çmuar edhe për ne, andaj ne mundohemi që ta kursejmë atë duke i bërë më efikase shërbimet tona. Ne kemi bërë vetë shërbimin digjital, i pari i llojit të vet në Ballkan, ku përmes E-Kioskut qytetarët do të kenë qasje më të lehtë dhe më të shpejtë në dokumentet e tyre. Ne respektojmë kohën tuaj.
Shall I continue now?
Yes, please.
Mila? Yes. Why we decide to digitalize the services in our municipality? The citizens of Prishtina have been facing the problem of long queues for years in order to get a document from the civil service register. In previous years, there were cases when citizens had to wait all day to get a document, and after a whole day, they still could not get it. A solution to be found. The idea of a proper digital service, which the citizens of Prishtina deserve, but also others, comes from the service provided by the commercial banks through ATM machines, and the tendency to cover the same service for the needs of the city administration. On June 11, in 2015, E-Kiosk project was promoted, which caused an echo and extraordinary interest. Municipality of Prishtina is the first municipality in Western Balkans and wider which has implemented this automatic document extraction system in digital way by the civil service registry. What were the impacts of this innovation? Initially, we decided that the E-Kiosk be used only to extract or retrieve documents from the civil service registry. At that time, 5 documents: birth certificate, birth extract, marriage certificate, citizenship certificate, and residence certificate could be printed out from the E-Kiosk. Taken into consideration that this service was absolute innovation in providing services to our citizens, expectations of the municipality of Prishtina were not as great as proved in reality. The most important impacts were service without contact with any official, service in only 30 seconds, same payment as in counters, safe, certified, and approved documents by the EU embassies. Just to explain why by the EU embassies, we still have to apply for visa. We do not have the visa liberalization, so it was necessary for us for all these documents to be accepted by the EU embassies. Safe access and supervised by the 4 external cameras and 1 internal camera. 24/7 service. Service without corruption. Attraction for citizens and particularly for our citizens living abroad. Witnessing the facilitation that E-Kiosk has given to our work, in the third year of building system stability, we began to add services in order to make life easier for our citizens, significantly appreciating and saving their time. Added services are printing of property tax invoice, payment of property tax invoice, printing of property certificate, and we are now in the phase of completing the implementation of all digital services through this E-Kiosk, where citizens can now receive services from this device and not have to wait in line at the counters in the municipal building. The operation of the city card has also been modeled and designed. Without contact with the official, with a simple scan of the documentation of the identification document, ID or passport, and with a simple payment method, in just 30 seconds, the citizens can have the required document or required service. Today, E-Kiosk is a very sustainable system. There is no way going back to the old waiting system indefinitely, and I sincerely hope that we will improve the stable process of working with new services. At the very end, of this presentation, I would like to give you some statistics. More than 200,000 printed documents for 3 years, which means more than 200,000 citizens less encounters of Prishtina municipality building. 20 e-kiosks installed in the municipality of Prishtina, of which 13 in urban neighborhoods and 7 in the rural areas of the Prishtina region. This project is the winner of two important international awards. Winner of the 4th edition of the Albanian ICT Awards in 2016, and it is also selected as one of the best practices in Europe in the European Public Sector Award in 2019. Thank you very much.
Година ви благодарам.
Your question, if you have.
Very much for your presentation, Mr. Muhedin. The questions are going to follow after each speaker's presentation.
Okay.
This is a very interesting concept that you have developed, and I sincerely hope that we can replicate something like that perhaps in other countries of the Western Balkans, including North Macedonia. Meanwhile, in Montenegro, there is a service, Digital Kiosk, which is a unique and modern application that allows for quick and easy access and payment for services. This application is advertised as the digital assistant, which in the future would introduce new services for citizens of Montenegro. And they would be able to pay for the services through a unique way, making it the favorite mobile application. Here to talk more about it is Mr. Boris RADOVIĆ from Business Integration and Business Intelligence.
Hello, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Boris RADOVIĆ, of course, from the company Business Integration and Business Intelligence from Montenegro, in short 2BI. A few years ago, we developed a new modern application, a mobile application for Android and iOS worlds, which is we call Digitálny Kiosk, and in English, of course, Digital Kiosk. And what we had in mind is to make possible for people to pay services, popular services, from the smartphone. Okay, so no need to go to the post office, no need to go to bank or to do something. All you need is a smartphone, internet connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loudly.
Okay, okay. MILA was just okay. All you need is a smartphone, internet connection, and credit card. Any type of credit card, debit card, whatever, with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whichever you like. So we wanted it to be open and possible to use in every card, and then you can pay some popular services through it. So first, very big challenge because we did everything on our own. We had four-member team of programmers, one security consultant, one designer, and one user experience consultant. And let's say around mid-2017, the development started. Then in the first quarter of 2018, we pushed into the production, and it was all through our own efforts. We had to engineering and marketing efforts that we had to push. The main challenge was how to provide popular services. And what are popular services? First, we made possible for top-ups for telco operators, so you can add your prepaid account through your mobile phone, so you can add somebody else's account or your own or whatever. So you don't have to go anywhere, just from the touch of your hand, you can do that. So first we did the integrations with Telecom, with MTEL, and then after with Telenor. These are the three major operators here. And then we gained trust. You have to gain trust from the market and to somehow persuade people to use your application. And when it comes to money, people are like, oh no, I don't want to put my credit card in some application. and stuff like that. So we also had a challenge, but we are to how to persuade people to how to even advertise our application. And we had big players in that game, like telco operators and the bank, which supported us, and they trust these names, like CKB, Crnogorska Komercijalna Banka, that's a member of OTP groupation. So there are big names, and slowly let's say, people trusted, and number of users started to grow. And slowly we made integration with parking service. So we made it possible for people to pay parking services through mobile phone, which is very suitable for foreigners coming to Montenegro because they don't have national phones from Montenegro. And Montenegro as a tourist destination, that's very, very interesting fact that people can park anywhere and pay legally and not have any fees or tickets for that. Then we made integrations with the city taxi, with one major taxi corporation here, and we made it also possible for taxi to be paid without cash. That's a great system, and of course we have to get people and the taxi drivers how to do this. There was a lot of education and everything, but yeah, you can pay taxi without any cash and everything. So the major, we have a lot of some other services, like some insurance services from Unica and from Sava Osiguranje, rent-a-car, road assistance and everything. And the major thing was we made it utility bills. How we made it possible to pay utility bills through our application. So we came, let's say, in the beginning of our year 2020, when the COVID arose in our country and everywhere else. And we, let's say, skyrocketed in that environment with a number of users. So right now we have almost 20,000 active users. And we have a lot of payments going on, and we have a lot of likes in our applications and everything. So people really like it and use it every time, and because they don't need to go to the bank, to the post office, don't just do the payment from the smartphone, from their home, work, or wherever. So if anything, COVID did a good thing for digital kiosk, but everything else, yeah, we don't want that, of course. So let's say we have a successful thing. We want to grow, and after all this, major thing that we had to provide to our customers is trust. I said that, but we did it through support. We have a fanatic support team here, 4 persons calling users all the time, because sometimes they make mistakes into their payments. So 2 euros, 5 euros is going somewhere else and not where they are supposed to go. So that's a touchy thing, and we have to call back and to explain what happened, what was the situation, the money will be returned and everything. And so we pushed a lot of effort in that also. And we have, as I said, 4 persons calling all the time, practically in 2 shifts. And because we have a lot of transactions going on, 1% small, that is really, but you have to call these people. So we have trust in our market. We have everything now, and we are growing. Now, development team is making some new services, integration with some new systems, and our goal for 2021 is to be widely accepted as a part of touristic offer in Montenegro as a touristic destination. For 2022, maybe expanding to the region, because where we have very interesting application, widely can be applied in every country, but must be integrated with those systems over there. So I have to mention that we also were sponsored by MasterCard, which was very good for us, and also CKB, which we made something new, let's say. There were like some competitive movements from other sides, but we are, let's say, number 1, and we are, as I said, still growing. So we are very satisfied. So some statistics right now is like 15,000 Android users, 5,000 iOS users, and COVID crisis increased everything by several 100%. That's a major growth in just 2020. And the numbers we see that we are going through are rising. So we are very satisfied. We want to keep it open and free for everybody. So every card, everything. So every foreigner or whatever, whoever wants to pay something here, something popular, that will be possible from the touch of the hand, and they can be secure that their credit card info will never leave the cell phone. We don't keep the info. We had to meet high standards in security because of the banks and everything. So we did that. We had top-notch security consultant and we met the requirements, and now we are just developing. That would be like the story of Digital Kiosk and successful story up to now and beyond.
Thank you very much, Mr. RADOVIĆ, for your presentation. 20,000 active users is a success, and as you said, I assume that your goal is to include the whole population of Montenegro and especially to trigger the tourists. Our next speaker considers the, I'm sorry, can all the participants who are not participating in the discussion just mute their mics so that we can continue with our next speaker? Yes, thank you very much. So our next speaker considers the understanding data as a strategic resource, connecting the government and the private sector data, as well as designing e-government services in line with the user's needs and in constant touch with them, as some of the trends and key things that will shape the near future. I invite Mr. Slobodan Marković, the digital advisor at UNDP Serbia, to share with us more about the digital governance in Serbia and the major trends and gaps in regional cooperation. In the meantime, for the rest of the participants, I highly encourage you to pose your questions in the chat section.
Thank you, Mila. Well, as you may know, Serbian old and new Prime Minister, Ms. Ana Brnabić, strongly prioritized digital transformation of the economy and society since the first days of her government in 2017, actually. And this was reiterated in the new government's program presented last month as well. So we at the UNDP Serbia supported and we continue to support this ambitious agenda on many fronts, from open data to digital government. And I'm going to talk about some of the lessons learned and key points for the future, but also mention along points relevant for regional cooperation. So the first factor, I think, for a success of digital transformation in the public sector it was already mentioned a couple of times here at this event as well. And that is the necessity to have a political support for digital transformation at the highest level, as high as possible. It exists in Serbia, it is present in Macedonia, but it's not universal in the regions. So that is why I mention it. It is necessary for introducing new institutional arrangements for ensuring cooperation between many institutions in the really different sectors that are engaged in digital transformation, and for quickly adopting necessary legislation. It is also very useful to have this for keeping the topic of digital transformation in constant public focus and high on the public agenda. Next important thing is having a cabinet level body in charge of policy implementation. It can be an agency, a secretariat, an office, but it must have appropriate powers, resources, and people. And in Serbia, it's called the Office for IT and E-Government. It's needed for ensuring common infrastructure and services of the government. So not only the electronic IDs, but also the ways the government's institutions connect, host their services, government cloud, and standards for data exchange. They also need to coordinate different government initiatives. and support other institutions in implementing e-government, because the capacities for this implementation are really scarce in governments. They also have to manage projects with institutions such as UNDP Serbia, donors, and the international finance organizations. And I think that these institutions have to focus on paying attention to structure of their employees. So they really need more project managers and more service designers rather than programmers or engineers, because you will find programmers and engineers in the private sector, but someone has to work within the government. Next, some things or building blocks are needed as soon as possible. In fact, I think that administrations must start with them, or they will risk modest results in digital transformation. And this is at the first place universal ID scheme or e-signature. It was already mentioned by previous speakers, and I heard that about the initiative in Macedonia with a MasterCard announced in February this year. It really sounds like a good initiative, but again, the issue of digital identity that is easy to use by everybody is far from solved in the region. We also have seen bilateral agreements between Serbia, Albania, North Macedonia, Montenegro to recognize digital identities in previous years. It's also a topic that of the recently presented Common Regional Market Initiative. So we will see more of that in the future, but we will need, not only to recognize identities, but also introduce cross-border services. Apart from electronic identity, payment for all services is really crucial, because without payment, you will have to forward people to a different counter. And having exchange of data between institutions and basic registers is also needed. Mapping this whole system is important, because it has to be documented, and it's a really complex system with a huge number of players. And finally, I think that the focus on integrated services and user experience is really needed. It's a fundamental shift in government thinking, how government think about developing e-services. We really need more integrated services, such as car registration at tech inspection points in Serbia, or electronic registration of newborns in hospitals, where parents provide only a few basic data about the child, while all subsequent registrations are conducted in background, and the parents are informed via SMS when a child has been assigned a citizen ID, enrolled into social and health security, when parents are provided with parental subsidies, etc. And this comes as a result of focusing on citizens' needs. So starting with citizens first, not starting with institutions and how institutions work and need to solve their own problems. So this constant focus on citizens and work with citizens from the from the very idea that we need a new service, and working with them throughout this, not only informing citizens on the daily news when some service has been published, but also working with them constantly and agilely improving this service, not leaving the same website for the 10 years. Is really important, and I think that governments need to focus on that. I will also mention finally a few words about the regional cooperation, things I think are missing in the region. I think that regional cooperation up until now was largely focused on infrastructure and basic trust services, which is good. We don't have a decent telecommunications infrastructure everywhere in the region, and it's really important. But the new regional common regional market initiative presented in Sofia recently is a good move, I think, in moving beyond this infrastructure into areas such as digital economy. We are, for instance, as UNDP, developing a concept for launching a regional center for the fourth industrial revolution in cooperation with the World Economic Forum, with countries in the region, to actually operationalize and speed up adoption of advanced technologies, so we can see some tangible benefits from these technologies in our everyday working lives. And we're really looking forward to contributing to more regional initiatives that go just beyond just the infrastructure in the years to come. So let's get in touch and let's work together.
Thank you very much, Mr. MARKOVIĆ. I completely agree with you on the point that even though it should not be a factor, the political will is a huge factor in all these processes. And the coordination of government initiatives, as well as highly focusing on citizens, actually taking a citizen-based approach, is crucial to driving some functional changes when it comes to digitalization and policies, as well as introducing the cross-border services in the region, which were, I mean, personally speaking, I'm really looking forward to. When it comes to online privacy, the basic rule is if it's too good to believe it, don't believe it. This is a motto that was shared with us from our next speaker. And here with us to talk about the minimal standards for protecting the right to privacy in e-services and service application, we have Mr. Igor KUZEVSKI from the Personal Data Protection Agency of the Republic of North Macedonia.
Hello, dobar den na site, zdravo svima, peršendetje. You have given me the task to explain about the online privacy 7 minutes only, so I will try to do my best to explain what is needed to protect yourself as a data subject and what is needed from the point of view of the controller or the company that is processing someone else's data. As you are already, maybe you are aware that we last February we have adopted the new law on personal data protection, transposing the GDPR or General Data Protection. Meaning that I would presume that most of the countries, all of the countries in the region have transposed this GDPR. So the law that we have transposed here is to the large extent similar to the countries from the region or in line with GDPR, to put it this way. So in order to have these minimum standards of protection of individuals when we are online, we have to meet the basic principles that are already stipulated in GDPR or in Macedonian data protection law or in anyone else's law from the countries from the region, because all of the, as I mentioned, they have already transposed GDPR. So which are these principles that has to be met in order to be able at least to hope that you are secure while you're browsing on internet. For instance, I will go through them, but before that, you have introduced me like Igor KUZEVSKI. Some of the participants here in this meeting knows me, how do I look, but some of you don't. If for instance, if someone else was sitting in this chair here and presenting to you and saying that he is Igor KUZEVSKI, we will most probably believe that he is Igor KUZEVSKI. So it's that easy to fortunately introduce yourself, or even more to fortunately have your fake email account, fake website, if you will. So when it comes to internet, indeed, if it sounds too good to believe it, you have to question yourself whether everything is okay in order to believe it. These basic principles that are stipulated in GDPR are legality, fairness, and transparency, limitation of data processing, minimum data volume, accuracy, limitation of storage period, and of course, the most important one in this 21st century, I would say, is integrity and confidentiality. Now, why is that? When we talk in life, then it's quite easy, I would say, to have bona fide, to believe is someone who is presenting something or who is trying to convince you something. This is not the case when it goes to online services or online browsing or being on internet or social media, etc. So it's not the same. But the awareness of the citizens is the same. So they expect that what they're able to do in a real life, it would be the same in this digital world. Unfortunately, that is not the case. We are witnessing here as a personal data protection authority a lot of cases where people are misused. They are victims of a cybercrime where their data are stolen in the first place, and the second attack or the major attack would be to unlawfully collect their money. So this is most of the times the case. So what is important is to meet this criteria or these principles stipulated in GDPR. from the point of the controller or the e-merchandiser or someone who is offering e-services, and also even more important from the point of the data subject, we have to be aware when we're browsing on internet or using online products and services, what could happen. So you know that the inventor of the antivirus softwares has said recently that there is not a good, even not good enough antivirus software that can protect us from the human stupidity. So we have to be, you know, aware for everything what is going on internet, especially when we are purchasing something via using internet services as such. So having this set, I will now go in some of the examples. What would be a good example how to present to the data subjects a good policy for protecting personal data while offering online services and products. So this would be a clearly written information of the use of cookies, respecting here the consent of personal data subject. Also here would be the clear explanation of which technical and organizational measures are in place. This is coming, or to have clear and in plain text written privacy policy, which is published on a visual on a place where the data subject can easily see what is processed in for what purposes, how long is the storage period of personal data, etc. So now, if you have that, what are the minimum standards while you're browsing on internet? Having this set already, I would say that you most probably already, as a users of these online services, you have already realized that most of the websites already use HTTPS protocols, meaning that you have encrypted data. And I will say here, if you're in a position as a data subject browsing on internet, and some website is asking you to reveal your data, and you don't have at the same time HTTPS protocol or secure source layer, or the connection is not encrypted, there is not if, you're most probably a victim of the cybercrime, I would say. So this is like already a standard. So if you're collecting or processing personal data via internet, so you have to have encrypted protocol in order to prevent the misuse of personal data. What else is important, that always to respect the consent-based processing of personal data while you're browsing on internet, and for you as a data subject to remain in control, to have an easy way to subscribe, but at the same way, easy way to unsubscribe for some web services, if you will, and to remain in your control, the possibility to delete your own data. By that, you will provide, from the point of view of a controller, a trustworthy to the data subjects that are actually your customers. So in the end, I would say that when it comes to the data subjects, you can put everything as a controller to be in line with GDPR, but however, you have to be aware what you are doing while you are browsing on internet, and to go with this motto: if it sounds too good to believe it, don't believe it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. KUZEVSKI, for your presentation. The colleagues have kindly reminded me to ask all of the participants to please fill in the registration form, which is in the chat. So please be kind enough to do it. This rounds up our time for presentations. Now I would like to open the floor for discussion. So in case anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Ask the representatives of Prishtina Municipality, as well as Mr. Boris RADOVIĆ, what were the biggest challenges in implementing such innovations as these services and the applications that you have installed? Maybe some comments and some feedback from the citizens. Did they accept these innovations gladly, or did they approach them a little bit with disbelief and fear perhaps? And also, If possible, how did you deal with that?
Okay, I will start with the answer on your question. What kind of challenges we have we had actually with our citizens? We didn't have it. It was accepted. This innovation and product, it was accepted excellent. I cannot say very well, but excellent by our citizens. It was, as I said, it's something like very interesting product. And in order to wait 3 or 4 hours, or maybe a whole day, they got documentation, or they got that paper in only 30 seconds. It's the procedure. It was very simple, as I explained, as in the bank, in the ATM machines. I mean, it's if we very simply explained this E-Kiosk, it's an ATM machine like in the bank, but in order to get the money, you can get the document from this machine. So we the answers from or reactions from our citizens were excellent during the implementation and after the post-implementation of this project.
Thank you very much, Mr. NUSHI. Mr. Boris RADOVIĆ, we have a question for you if you're still with us. How would you characterize the security protocols used in Digital E-Kiosk? Are they sufficiently revised and updated to combat common threats?
Yeah, they are. Sorry, I was gone for a couple of minutes and I was listening to Mr. Gotze, sorry, Igor KUZEVSKI, sorry. Yeah, our securities protocols have to be top-notch and accepted by payment card industry, which is also top-notch. They are the heaviest in the whole wide world, considering the security protocols. So we are completely up to date with that. And we have a very, very good security consultant here, and he's a world-class security consultant. And so I suppose the answer is, yeah, we are updating that. And also our development team is constantly has to update new versions of applications. Recently, there was an issue with the iOS version, like Apple just makes something up in their framework, and we have to, like, application will stop working if we don't do that, and then do this, and we do it. So everybody has to update and everything regularly. So it works. Yeah, we are updated totally. As far as we know, we are totally secure.
Thank you very much. I've heard that there's another question from...
Yes, Mila, if I may, yeah. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So hi, everyone. My name is Elena and I work for Metamorphosis Foundation. We were mostly speaking today about the challenges that citizens faced, or how you have advertised the digital services. But what remains open for me is how did you face the legal aspect of introducing those services? Because as we know, our countries in the region might have transposed the GDPR and have, let's say, modern laws on data protection, but still the mentality and the legal system request some legislative changes in many of the laws that define the services that the citizens use offline. So was it a challenge for any of the countries, and will it be for us, Igor, to have some modifications and amendments of the laws, which will allow us to respect the legality principle of data protection? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elena, for the question. Yeah, you're completely right. The mentality is something that is hardest to change, not only here in the region, I would say worldwide. Yes, you are right again that we have a transition period up to next August here in Macedonia, next August 2021, to have sectoral alignment of all the laws that are stipulating processing of personal data with the GDPR or with the Macedonian Data Protection Law. What is going to happen? I don't know. We have some threats. The biggest threat is now the pandemic. I don't know how the country will be able to do all this during this not normal time, I would say. But however, currently we are, just to inform you all, that we are currently intensively working on some of the main laws that have to be in line with the GDPR. When I say main laws, I mean the laws that are hugely stipulating processing of personal data, but that would be not enough. Next year, we are commencing with a new project covered by the European Union, where one of the pillars that has to be achieved is awareness raising of the citizens here in North Macedonia for from their side, from the perspective of the data subjects, what they have to be aware of in order for them to, from their side, to do everything, not to be a victim of the crime of the identity theft, or I don't know, data protection related crimes. From the point of view of the state, yes, we are currently working of alignment of some of the main laws, I would say, but that will be not enough. I do hope that we will have this done by the end of next August, when actually the new law is implementing with its full force. But what is going to happen, I'm not sure. I cannot promise nothing. We are doing our best, bearing in mind this awful situation with the pandemic that we have facing currently. Not only us, but the whole world, I would say.
Thank you very much for the answer. Mr. KUZEVSKI, we have one more question for you in the chat. So did requests of inspections or complaints towards DPDP change in any major way during the pandemic from March onward speaking?
A lot. It has changed a lot. I will speak in percentages, not in total figures, but over 100, that's for sure, or more than, it's percentage is now huge. I haven't calculated what is the percentage now, but we have switched. You know what? The COVID has boosted some things that has supposed to happen in 21 or 22 here in North Macedonia. When we talk about the data protection, it has boosted them. So there are some positive effects of the pandemic. So we are more than 100 already performed online supervisions, meaning we have again, with the support of the European Union, obtained a year ago a tool for penetrating of the websites that are processing personal data. So meaning to perform an online supervision, which is already generating automatically minutes and identifying if there are any inconsistencies that are not in line with GDPR. So yes, this is the major change that has happened starting from April, not since March, but since April. So currently we are focused mainly on performing on online supervisions, which was not the case before the corona pandemic. And one of our strategic goals was for this to be commenced in the second half of 21 or first half of 22. So actually COVID has changed this a lot. We have commenced already, I told you, over 100 online supervisions. So this is the major change for us.
Thank you.
If I may add a thing to the previous question posed by Elena, I think that with regards to the legal framework, really there is no quick fix. I mean, this is why political support, high-level political support is so important, because you really have to align many laws proposed by different institutions in this process. So there is no quick fix. I mean, you need to move forward and solve problems along the way. And we have seen that without political support, this just drags along for just too long. I mean, we've debated the need to have a law on e-government in Serbia for, I think, 7 or 8 years before it was adopted. last year, barely 9 months after Ana Brnabić was elected as a prime minister. So really it comes down to, you know, the speed is the factor which comes with the political support. Regarding the question that was posed by Gotze in the chat, I'm not convinced that actually developing core government software with the community is the way to go. I think that it still, at least in my point of view, makes sense for the government institutions to retain, you know, professional organizations to develop the software for them. However, I think that this software should definitely support public APIs to enable the wide community to use these APIs to develop their own solutions. Just to give an example, in Serbia, there is no way you can file your taxes offline. So basically everything is digitalized, but you have only one gateway to do this. And this is the portal of the tax administration. If they had APIs, which were public, you could then integrate this into many different softwares, such as enterprise resource management systems in companies and other, you know, applications. So, you know, it would be much more efficient to work in this way. And I think that, you know, public APIs by the government are the way to go, at least, you know, in the near future.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Markovic, for answering the question that was also posed in the section for every panelist. How far or close are we to co-developing a regional software solutions for e-services, which will draw on the expertise from the IT community in our respective countries? Unless there are any more comments, questions, or additions from the audience, I would like to thank very much to the speakers and of course the participants for participating in our session. This is actually a wrap up of day one. So please do not forget to join us tomorrow for day 2 of the Society Conference, where you can follow the panel discussion on the role of watchdog journalism towards good governance, and the panel discussion on open digital education in North Macedonia, but also to participate in a 1-hour workshop on the key challenges in the digitization of education. This is all from our side. Thank you very much once again for participating. We wish you a pleasant rest of the day, and most importantly, stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.